Any update on Jamal's condition status?
Yeah, he's. I just think you take it time slot to time slot. I mean, obviously he's out this whole week, and good chance he'll be out next week too. So, ankles are sometimes take on personalities of their own. So we'll just have to see.
Coach, good morning. I would love to maybe hear what you think, how important it is that today's generation and every generation is fully aware of Dr. King and his legacy. And is there anything special that you guys might do on this day to honor Dr. King's legacy?
Yeah, we always keep that stuff private. I do something special just about every year. Last year I had Leroy Burrell come over and speak to the team. And Leroy was awesome. But since George Floyd, there's been such a shift in conversation and discussion about the things that Dr. King was so far ahead of his time on. Back in 63 and 64, most people don't realize he won a Nobel Peace Prize, for instance. That's how the impact that he had on society. And my hat's off, and a huge thank you to all the people that came after Dr. King to keep that flame alive. Obviously, as a society, we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. But Dr. King will always serve as the face of nonviolent protest across the country, but also standing up for what's right. Racism isn't an opinion; it's what's right. It's fighting that to rid the world of that. And, for some people, they will never change. I mean, a lot of people were born racist because their people were racist. You're not going to change those people. It's the people that's on the fence that Dr. King was after.
We'll go to Chris Gardner, please. Chris, go ahead, sir.
Coach, with Jamal out for at least a week, does this mean Ryan Elvin is going to get more work than the offense?
I haven't decided any of that. And if I had, I wouldn't talk about it. We got a game Tuesday night. But obviously we have to have a sub. So somebody's going to get some work.
Well, what are your thoughts on, let's talk about Tuesday's matchup against South Florida.
Well, we just played them. But they're coming off, I think, probably the most dynamic in-conference win so far. Central Florida has beaten Memphis at home. They've beaten Michigan at home. I mean, they've got some really good wins. South Florida just beat them 75-51. But they hammered them 53-26 on the boards. Think about that. 53-26 on the boards. They've got an outstanding coach in Brian Gregory, sophomore point guard. Kellen Murphy is just continues to get better. I saw him out in the layup line after the game and told him how proud I was of his progress, how much better he's gotten. And then, like a lot of coaches, Brian really helped this team in the portal. It just takes a while for portal guys to get it. But the Green kid really played well against us last time. Jameer Chaplin has just taken off. Unfortunately, people form opinions of teams early in the year and they don't realize how much better they get. But I think South Florida's playing their best basketball right now. And, our situation's our situation. We don't need to talk about it every day. It's not going anywhere. But, with the, what we're dealing with right now, just being able to navigate a 40-minute game is going to be a challenge, especially against a team that's so dominant on the boards and comes in with an outstanding point guard and then 2 good wings in Chaplin. I think Chaplin's, since our game, I think he had 5 offensive rebounds in our game, but I think he's averaging about 5 offensive rebounds per game since we played him last. So, but our situation is a little tenuous at best, and we're going to try and navigate through this the best we can. And the good news is we'll get Jamal back at some point. We just don't know when.
We'll go to Jason Bristol with KHOU. Jason, please go ahead with your question for Coach.
Good morning, Kelvin. I saw the university tweeted out the new throwback uniforms that are going to be worn on Tuesday. I was wondering what kind of input you have in the process, if any, and what your thoughts are on them.
I always think the most important things we can do is live in the present. It's about the kids we have now, but I always think it's important to honor the past. My favorite Cougar of all time, because I was a fan of his growing up, was Elvin Hayes. And being able to go back to Elvin's era, we had an iconic coach here and one of the greatest college coaches of all time, and Robbie Lewis. This is our university. We're University of Houston. We got a lot to be proud of. So to be able to link up with the past and and this is great for the fans too, because at the end of the day, it's their program too. Being able to go back and relive some memories, and people look at those uniforms and say, I remember those uniforms. And plus, I think they're kind of cool looking too.
Did they come to you and say,
no. Well, first of all, who is they?
I don't know, Nike, the university?
No, that was strictly Lauren's idea.
Yeah, they are pretty sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll go back to Joseph Duarte from Chronicle. Joseph, go ahead, please.
Kelvin, I know that, like you mentioned, that this is nothing new in terms of dealing with injuries, and everybody goes through it at some point. I was curious with your conditioning and stuff that you guys have. In a silver lining, does it help to when you have to ask guys to play those 40 minutes, those 38 minutes? Like the other night, you mentioned I guess the story about Tajay saying, can I come out, and you just couldn't give him a breather. Does what you guys do within the program at least prepare your guys to extend minutes like that, or is that just asking a lot for any human being or any athlete to have to pick up that load like that?
Yeah, well, when our kids come in June, they're working strictly on their base cardio fitness. Coach Bishop doesn't do anything to help them get ready to play basketball shape. You only get in basketball shape playing basketball. You don't do it running sprints on the baseball field. You don't do it carrying barbells from one end of the court to the other. Our kids start getting in basketball shape the first day of practice on October 1st. So everything before then is just general stuff, weight, strength training, making sure our cardio base, like every team I've had going all the way back to Montana Tech, the last day of conditioning has always been a time mile run. Some of the best players I've ever had were the worst milers. That's why I always have the stopwatch to time them. Because if I say they got to run it in this time and they're my best player, well, he's going to make it because I got the clock. I've never had one not make it. Now, I used to run kids about 3.5 miles until one of my best players stopped halfway, checked into a convenience store. He had a little upset stomach and shut up about 30 minutes after everybody else did. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "I got sick at the stomach." That kid went on to make first team all conference at Washington State. A kid by the name of Terence Lewis. I'll never forget Terence. Terence really wasn't into 3-mile runs. He whispered to one of the assistant coaches one day, "I thought I came here on basketball scholarship. I didn't realize I came here to run cross country." So anytime I hear stuff like that, I start thinking, do we really need to run 3.5 miles? Or am I just doing stuff because I that's what I always did? So that's when I started adjusting and evolving. You know, sometimes it's okay to listen to the players. I probably learned more from them over the years than they've learned from me. But some kids are never out of shape. Galen Robinson could not play for 2 months, Joseph, and play 40 minutes. That's just his metabolism. You know, Armani Brooks can be out 2 months and he can play 40 minutes. Now he'd need timeouts and he need to catch a crew that blew the whistle a lot, but he played 40 minutes. No, we're not asking them to, run a marathon. My biggest fear is the last 5 minutes of the game and foul trouble. Those are things you just can't control. Kyler really needed to rest the other night. He was, we had a 12-point lead with 2-something to go. Next thing you know, boom, 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 made 3 threes. So, there's things we go over, things we try to. At the end of the day, you just got to find a way to win the game, and that's what we're going to try to do. We're short on numbers. Again, the toughest thing for me is just practice. I've always been so practice-driven, and now we can't. It's like Robbie and Ryan. One of those guys are going to have to go into the game, and you'd like to see them full speed, right? 5-on-5. Well, we can't. So whoever plays is going to get his first game action 5-on-5 with the other 4 guys. So, but that's just the situation we're in. We'll figure it out.
So, in your talking to John or the medical folks, have you got any indication on just the ankles, the situation there? Is there a common thread, or is this just
the common thread is the common thread is they're all spraining their ankles.
Right. And I didn't know if there was just something to that, or just a freak, deal in terms of, I'm not trying to tie it into anything. I'm just wondering if you've seen something like that, or if they told you, that.
I don't think I've ever had a year where we didn't have a sprained ankle. That's just part of sports. Okay. Women's field hockey sprains their ankles. They sprain their ankles on the ice skates. We sprain our ankles in basketball. I remember a good friend of mine was a women's coach at Oklahoma years ago named Sherry Cole. I think she went through a stretch where she had multiple ACLs with her girls. It just happens, sometimes when you shoot a 61 in golf, things conspire to make sure you don't shoot 61 again. So, we shot a 60, we shot at 59 last year. It's hard to shoot back-to-back 59s. Sometimes just, but I don't look at it as, like people that don't know what they don't know will say, well, is it the shoes? The same shoes we wore last year with no sprain, with no time missed. It's just one of those years. Everybody goes through it. I'm sure if I look back over, a lot of these years I don't remember much. I remember I think we were a 13 seed playing Arizona in the first round. We were not a 13 seed because I had a bunch of guys out with injuries. Ryan Humphrey, Eduardo Nahara, Michael Johnson, Alex Spalding, Tim Heskett, Eric Martin. All those guys were out that year with injuries. And we barely made the tournament. But now, right before the tournament started, we started getting them all back. And so we were fortunate to make the tournament that year. And Arizona had Jason Terry, Richard Jefferson, Michael Wright, A.J. Bramlett. They had all those guys. Well, they were a 4 seed and they had to play us. That's a bad draw for them because I had all my guys back. But they had all missed time during the year. And once we got them all back, we beat Arizona. And then the next game, UNC Charlotte beat Rhode Island. Rhode Island's best player was Lamar Odom. So we turned around and beat Charlotte. Now we're in the Sweet 16 against Mateen Cleaves and Mo Pete and all those guys at Michigan State. So I've been through years like this where injuries, you don't have certain guys. There's certain games you're going to lose because those teams are too good to beat without your best players. We could have lost the Tulsa game. We could have lost the Temple game, Wichita State game. We're just trying to survive over here. Just try to get enough bodies to get through a game.
Kelvin, since there's no hands raised, if I could just ask one more, and if this doesn't fall under, giving away too many of the secrets, but with Jamal out and then losing Marcus,
Tramon,
I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, yeah. And where I'm going with this, I'm not sure if he would have fit into it, but just who handles the ball up the court in terms of your sort of your point at this point.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Just depends on what we're in. The other night I used Tajay and Kyler. I think I looked at the court cross-eyed one time when Tajay came down the floor and threw it in the first row over there. Tajay is not my idea of a guy bringing the ball up the court against pressure. I don't think he was put on this earth to do that. But, you got to make do with what you got. When we run this set, then Kyler can't bring it up. And that leaves either Fabian or Ramon or Tajay. So it's not like I have a lot of choices.
Gotcha. We'll go to Chris Gardner, please. Chris, go ahead with your question for Coach Sampson.
Coach, a while ago, a few weeks ago maybe, in terms of just bodies for practice, you commented about contacting Coach Holgerson or anybody from football to just to get 5-on-5. Have you done that?
No, that was a joke. I'd never do that. Those guys, I've never seen a football player good enough to help. No, I've seen some good enough to help us in practice. I remember when I was at Washington State, a guy that used to come over and play with our guys all the time was Drew Bledsoe. Drew was I'm not sure if he was all state, but he was all district. Another guy was Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford used to come, well, Drew and Sam came to our basketball camps. I think Sam was a scratch golfer. He's a really good basketball player. The other one was, what's his name? He's center fielder for the Dodgers. Played in Midwest City, came to our camps, played with our guys a lot. Center fielder, Kemp. What was his first name? Big, strong, home hit. Huh?
No. I thought it was Ryan Kemp. No.
No. It was Kellen's buddy.
Ryan Miner?
No. Kemp. K-E-M-P. Matt Kemp.
Matt Kemp.
Yeah. No, I've had a lot of major league. Ryan Miner got drafted by Philadelphia 76ers and the Baltimore Orioles. But I also had Mark Hendrickson that got drafted by Toronto Blue Jays and the New Jersey Nets. So I've had a lot of multiple sport guys that could, but they were really good basketball players. I'm not talking about somebody just to guard somebody in practice. That's what I would want a body for, not to play. I mean, I had, kid I inherited this with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, somebody help me. What's the kid that played football here?
Tyus Bowser.
Yeah, Tyus Bowser was a good player. He just wasn't a college player. He's a really good high school player. Don't confuse high school with college. You know, just because a guy can shoot, what that means is he's pretty good horse. You know, they actually guard you here. I'm not sure you get a shot off. Well, he can shoot. We're good. Then we go down to the state fair and win some teddy bears. That's probably where a shoot will come in.
Let's see here. Mark Berman, I saw your hand raised. Do you have a question, Mark?
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Go ahead.
Kelvin, how special is this for you to watch you and your staff and your players finding different ways to win as y'all navigate around all these injuries?
We're down here fighting with snakes and alligators. I haven't thought about nothing but trying to get through today's practice, put the game plan in, how we're going to attack their defense, how we're going to guard them, and then try to figure out how to attack a press, who's going to bring it up, all that stuff. That's about as far as I get.
All right. I don't see any more hands raised. Are there any more questions for Coach? Anybody? Are we good?
Any of you guys got any eligibility? Well, Joseph, you're going to die with yours. I was thinking maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to keep mine. I'm going to keep mine in a bottle. Although I was known as a pretty crafty passer.
There you go. There you go. You know what? A passer translates. Shooting doesn't. You actually have to be open to get a shot off. That's hard to do up here. But the passing thing, in a pinch, I could use that.
Coach, I could pass. I like playing defense when I was younger. I like that. I could play defense, but that's about it.
Chris, you're ringing my bell, brother.
There's not a lot of 5'8" guys that probably can help you, Coach.
Yeah. No, there's that shows you how far we've come. My first year here, I had people telling me about walk-ons that could help us. And I go, my God, how bad is it here? You got walk-ons that can help us. But we're a little bit past that now.